Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to YACC, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I'll talk about it. This week's game is Kabuki Quantum Fighter for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it's a 2D platformer made in 1992, developed by Human Entertainment and published by Nintendo. And also there will be spoilers up ahead, just so you know. But first, a little backstory. I am currently running dry on ideas of what I want to play on this podcast or for this podcast. So I reached out to one of my friends or some friends on Discord. One of them, Belysning. I asked him, wanted to pick a game, and he did. So he recommended this game. I haven't heard about the title before, but I've seen gameplay of it. I think Nest Drunk on YouTube made a review about it. It's an interesting game for sure. It looks a little bit like Batman, Power Blade, and Ninja Gaiden mixed up, if that makes sense. But it has an interesting mechanic that I'll get into later. So the game starts with an intro sequence explaining what's happened. So in the year 2056, something has broken into the main defense computer. Spoilers, it's a virus. The main problem with this is that the defense computer also has control over the nuclear weapons. So that's a big bad thing right there. So they use a machine or an interface called the image transfer system, so they can put a human mind into the computer and solve the problem that way. The problem is that this hasn't been tested before. So enter Scott O'Connor. He's 25, but his profile picture doesn't do his age justice. I guess he's supposed to be 25, but he looks like 12 or 13, and his face looks like a Dragon Ball Z anime character, which I thought was hilarious. So he enters this machine or his conscious or whatever, his mind, and he turns into a Kabuki character. And a Kabuki character is Kabuki is a form of Japanese theater. The actors are acting over dramatically. They are having white makeup on their face and over exaggerated expressions, usually accompanied by flute and drum music. And I don't think they speak, they make just noises. So anyway, Scott turns into this red-haired Kabuki character. That has something to do with his grandpa or something. I don't know why, but I found that funny as well. So the game starts and has like a timer of 250 seconds, and it looks like a Batman game or a Power Blade mixed up, but it has like an interesting features. He actually uses his hair as a weapon, so he headbangs enemies to death, literally. And there are some extra weapons you can select or collect while pressing the select button. And it brings up these things called chips. That's the kind of ammunition you have for the weapons you get. So every time you clear a level, you get, or clear a boss, I should say, you get a new item to use, like the quantum bombs and whatnot. But I didn't manage to get through all of this game. I came to like the first boss and I had hit a brick wall. This game is tough as nails, and I might even say that it's harder than Ninja Gaiden actually. So the first level introduced a lot of robotic enemies, such as dogs, vacuum cleaner looking things, and foot soldiers. And it has a really cool mechanic too, that will play out through the game. You can jump onto things that looks like lamps, and you can do like a little spin jump, which looks really cool, really fluid. And the first boss is a blue jumping ninja, and it's a really hard boss. I love deaths to this guy. So you're trying to headbang this guy to death, but he jumps all over the place, and your special weapon doesn't have that long of reach, and your chips runs out before you even manage to do... the bosses they're like bullet sponges. They take a lot of hits. One hit doesn't actually drain like one of their bars, if that makes sense. It takes a couple of hits to even drain one bar, so it's a really hard first boss, like a brick wall, but once you learn the patterns and everything, it's a little easier, I guess. So the second level has jumping birds, trilobites, crawling creatures, and water physics, some platforming, and yeah, that's about it. So the boss on this stage is a white ninja. He does jump kicks, backflips, and he has like a decoy, and I think he also has some kind of projectile. And every time, as I said before, when you beat a stage, you get like a special weapon. If you beat the boss, you get a special weapon, And then there's a cutscene. Scott's brain stops working with the machine for some reason, I don't know, and you get a new weapon, the fusion gun. So the third level makes you scale up a shaft on blue platforms and trying to avoid stuff, when trying to climb the shaft. And it's not a fun hike. It's more about patience, not getting frustrated than anything else. So the boss on this level is kind of funny. It's like a piranha plant, but with an alien look to it. I don't know. It spits projectiles and it's a real bullet sponge. So there's a cutscenes, and Connor is now trapped in a machine. So they have a lot of cool like not screenshots, but cutscenes between. So it's a little bit like Werewolf: The Last Warrior. They have like between bosses and not, they have like little text and some nice visuals to go with it. And here you get the quantum bombs after beating this boss. So I think that this game is a little bit too long for its own good. So there are a couple of levels left. There's like 4 or 5 and bosses to go with that. But if I'm gonna be honest, I didn't beat this game this week, and I'm not ashamed of it. So what happens later in the story is that the main character, there's like this satellite. They're supposed to fire some death laser or something. You're supposed to go into that interface and battle the virus that's been taking control of the defense computer. So the last boss is the satellite itself fused with the flesh of like the virus, and it's really weird. It's like pulsating and stuff, and yeah, not a nice thing to look at actually. So this boss has a second phase as well. His head blows up in the first phase, and then you beat at the neck until it dies, and then the satellite explodes, and Scott's get out of there somehow and back into his body, his mind. And then there is the outro scrolling text and credits, and at the end of everything you get like a sound test where you can scroll through the different sound bites and songs, and this nice little reward for beating this game. But I don't think it's like I don't think that a lot of people actually experience the sound test, to be honest. So gameplay: beat all the levels and bosses, destroy the evil virus, and save the world from nuclear annihilation, I guess. Control: the D-pad moves the character around, the A button jumps, the B button attacks your hair and things. So I think if you duck and you press the B button, you do like a punch, but it's really short range. The same thing with the hair attack, it's really short, and most enemies are moving, and you get a lot of hits before you actually manage to do damage yourself. So if you press down on the D-pad, you duck, and if you press up on the D-pad, he stands on one leg for some reason. I don't know why. And if you push the select button, you can change between the different weapons that you have, and start pauses the game. Graphics: so this game is really interesting, and it has a lot of cutscenes and a lot of cool visuals to go with it. And I'm always amazed how they managed to put so much art into these like tiny cassettes or cartridges, because a NES cartridge is less than 1 megabyte. That is crazy how they managed to do that. And the game's graphics reminds me a bit about Batman, Werewolf: The Last Warrior, Ninja Gaiden, those kind of games, even a bit of Castlevania. There's always something moving in the background, and it's really interesting. Sound and music: Masaki Hashimoto, Takahiro Wakuta. They were both like working on the music and the sound design. I don't know which one did what, but the music is really good. It's like this kind of like a real good chiptune. Easter egg, secrets, and glitches. There was one thing I found out. It's a really weird thing. If you press down and on the D-pad and you press A, you do this repeatedly. He does like this little short jump, really fast and really weird. I don't know why you would have like a little skippy jump there, but yeah, it's there. So in conclusion, I wrote, no, this game is too hard for its own good, and it's too long. It has a lot of interesting concepts. The whole idea that you actually just fight with your kabuki hair, and like usually you in a fighting game like platformer, you use like your fists, or you have some kind of fiery projectile. Why would you use your hair? That's just annoying to get in your face, not like I don't know. But as I said, like, it's an interesting concept, but it's too long and too hard. It's really interesting to look up like long plays and how even people that know exactly what they are doing, they're struggling with some platforming parts like the shaft. You're supposed to climb these blue platforms. I didn't even get there. I was like watching this guy struggling for 1 hour. I was like, oh, he died. He fell down. He have to start all over. And it was like this painful mechanic where you actually have to swing from platforming, like the lamp thing mechanic, and you have to avoid exactly like the Medusa heads from the Castlevania series. There's always like an enemy placed exactly where you need to go, so you always get hit, and you probably fall down and have to restart. So it's like It's a really hard game, but it was a really interesting pick. I wouldn't have played this game otherwise. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.